Hello. Are you a GDP-centric thinker? What does it mean? What does it mean to be a GDP-centric thinker? Well, when you're a GDP-centered thinker, it means that you don't see nature as an investment, but just as a resource. And I'd like to talk a little about how we should view nature and why we should see nature as an investment and not just like a resource to be explored, a resource we should explore because, well, just because, or because it makes us to have the world we have nowadays. So nowadays, our behavior is more. We could compare our behavior as the behavior of a spoiled child, So the thing is, we are worried about our classmates, we are worried about our friends, and we just think, oh no, but now my friend wants me to buy them a candy, so I should buy it. I don't care if this money that my dad gave me is for me to buy something else, to buy another thing, because I need to buy a candy to my little friend who asked me to. So this is the way a spoiled child behave, and we manage nature this way. We think that we can do whatever, and that's it. So we decide to make choices that leads us to make choices that lead us to uncertainty, and instead of thinking that nature is an endless resource, we decide to think that it is, and we can just extract its materials, and it will never, the end will never arrive. So we just worry about GDP, we just worry about the things and the ecosystem that we can explore. We don't think about how we should manage it for never to worry about it in a way that could lead us to scarcity, 100% scarcity on this. And that's why, for example, we choose things that, if we look in a long term view, will cause us disgrace, So we worry about metrics, we worry about our GDP, we worry about everything economically speaking, but we don't worry about the things that really can allow us to have the opportunity to think about those things. Because if we don't have nature, we don't have resource to think about GDP, because we don't have GDP if we don't have the resource that nature provides us. So, but the point is, it's not that you can't explore nature, but that you have to explore it in a smart way. But okay, there will there will be people that will say, okay, but we are exploring it, exploiting it in a smart way, and okay, no, it's not happening. We're facing so many problems that we don't have sustainable growth nowadays, that we have to worry about this, about a sustainable growth. And when we think about sustainability, about sustainable growth, people will start to say, environment, let's be green. let's be this and that, let's be vegan, let's be blah blah blah. It's not about this. Just think about the words sustainable. Sustainable. If it's sustainable, it means that you can sustain. We have to grow in a way that we can sustain in a long term. And when we think about long term, it means that we have to think a little smarter, and sometimes we have to grow 1% to be able to grow 1% for 50 years instead of growing 50% in 1 year, and after all just leave the game because we don't have anything anymore, because all is over, everything go over if we don't have the correct perspective, a long-term perspective. Although I'll grow. In 1 week I'll do everything, but after this I'll do nothing because I have no energy. Kinda. I'll be healthy for a week, and after this week my whole life I'll eat only junky food. Pretty nice. So that's the point. It's so interesting because when you talk about economy and people think that it's totally disconnected to reality, sometimes it's disconnected to nature, it's disconnected to the world, it's just about numbers, it's just about metrics, it's just about the balancing numbers and investments, but no one is considering a little amount of people are considering that the most important resource is being treated as it wasn't that important. And I'm trying to think about something that we could relate to it in a way that could be impactful enough for me to make myself clearer. Let's imagine that we have a child, okay? There's a child, and this child has a family, okay? And this child has a friend, and this friend asks this child for help, okay? And it involves money. This child needs to help their friend by giving them money. And the point is that, for example, okay, you can provide for a moment, this child can provide for a moment for their friend a little amount of money because they receive some from their parents. But it's not sustainable to think that this child can do this forever. Okay? And imagine that this friend starts to take advantage from this and starts to ask for money every time. This friend is always asking for money. And this little child is kind of feeling so bad because they don't want to say no, and they still having resource. They still having the money to provide their friend with. But there will be a time in which this little child won't be able to keep it going and to lend money. And of course, it means that maybe this little child will get so annoyed by that, so will be so sad, will be so it will be so bothersome that it will be so bothersome that it will make this child to consider the possibility of not being friends anymore with this person, with this kid who committed a mistake. Because the kid that was taking advantage from this friendship and started to ask for money all the time didn't care enough about the friendship that they built with this other child, and started to manipulate the situation, to take resource. They started to see this other kid as a resource for them and not as a friend. And so they were treating this friend the same way we treat nature. Because we just want to take from it, but we don't want to invest on it. We don't want to see this as a thing that we should respect and that we should contemplate, that we should protect. No, we just have to explore. Never invest and protect. The same way that this little kid started to do with this friend. Just give me money because I need money and you have money and you can give me. And this little kid could give many excuses. For example, as we give when we talk about GDP. It's okay to talk about GDP, but not when we decide to do things that are completely insane just to keep the GDP, just to increase the GDP, okay? Just to think about our metrics, as this little friend who started to ask for money for his or her friend, doesn't matter the genre. The point here is this little friend could say, oh no, but I need it. I need this money because my mother doesn't want to give me. My mother, and I need to buy some new clothes. I need to buy a new pair of shoes. I need to buy food. I need to go there and here and there. I need to da. I need something. I need anything. I need blah. I want. I deserve. Why not? Oh, I don't need to feel, but why not? I know they have. So, and I think about myself first. So why not to? Why not to ask them to give me the money they have? It's the same that we do about nature. We always think, why not? Because it will provide. I know it won't deny. But the point is, this friend is good enough to not to deny it to you until they don't have it anymore. But the point is that when they don't have it anymore, you become miserable. Okay. So the point is, when we focus on short-term gains without recognizing that these gains are only possible because of the resources nature supplies, it means that we are really at risk of becoming miserable, totally miserable people, because we are ignoring something pretty important, thinking that we won't face consequences, And we think that we are talking about important thing, relevant stuff. But we are just ignoring something today to sacrifice security of tomorrow, to sacrifice economic security tomorrow. Okay, because the worst economy collapse that we could face would be one which involves nature, which is the most important provider for everything we have. This is the real provider. Okay. So think that without clean water, without stable ecosystems, and many other things, future GDP growth is impossible. Okay, so when we start to embrace responsibility for future, we think a little more, and we understand that sustainability is the core of a real economic strategy, of a real one. Because we can talk about many strategies that thinking about sacrificing the future we ignore the future to think about present, and after all we just have short-term gains. So you can have this kind of mindset, no problem, but we won't be able to deny the future when it arrives. And when it arrives, you won't be able to ignore the scarcity, how miserable it will be. Okay, so we should be responsible. We should be more aware about it. That we should preserve environment for us and for those who come after us. It's impossible to grow, to have a real growth without taking nature into account, 100% into account. You can ignore, you can say no, it's impossible to take nature. Yes, okay, no problem, because you were thinking about short-term gains. Because you were blind about reality. Because you were maybe thinking that it's possible, for example, to damage. If you have employees, for example, you are thinking that you won't face any consequence if you damage the legs of your employee that goes to work every day cycling. You think that they will be able to go to work the other day, even if you injure them. Little by little, they won't be able to go to work. I don't know if this example is a good one, but well, that's it. So, if you are a GDP-centric thinker, you should to have another approach, a more investment-oriented approach. And when it comes to nature, okay? And it means change the mindset in policy, education, and individual actions, because this will ensure that economic success is tied to ecological stability, and will ensure that we will have a future GDP growth. So when you change your approach to an investment oriented, it will make you to assure yourself that you'll be able to have a GDP growth in the future, a real one, not only in a short term but in a long term. So if you have children, you can assure yourself that your children will have a good future, because when we see nature as our primary investment, we secure a stable economy that can thrive without compromising the world's natural wealth. And nature is no longer a resource we use up. No, nature is an asset that we go and sustain. Nature is an asset that we grow and sustain. Okay. So that's it. Nature is the best asset we could have in our wallets.